I think the issue for me, and going back to pull it together and some of the other questions that are asked, is we start off with an issue, and something sparks off a collective response. And before we know where we are, we have a movement. And then immediately following on that movement, we have a resistance to the progress, and we have a conflict. And depending on how a lot of other factors of our culture, our history, the depth of the conflict, the linking points, we can be into a struggle that is or is not armed. And then, no matter how long it goes on, it ends up with some kind of resolution, some kind of accommodation. But I think the thing that I see in Northern Ireland, I see in South Africa, I see in Colombia, I see in Nicaragua, I saw everywhere. And going back to then how we understand strategy, I ask myself, how is this happening? And to me, one of the things that causes it to happen is that many of us who are human rights activists, our human rights activism has its origin and understanding and framework within the United Nations Convention of Human Rights. And the one area where the United Nations of Human Rights continues to be weak is in the social and in that social and economic rights are human rights. And so we have human rights, which are social rights, political rights, gender rights, but social economic rights are still framed in a very, very different framework. So when we come to resolving conflict, and when we come to building movements, the thing that we don't start in the building of the movement is understanding the social and economic strategies and the social and economic infrastructures that feed our divisions. And yet we see them. We see that the people who are most oppositional on the ground to black people having equal economic rights are poor white people. You say, well, where's mine? The people who are most resistant to the inclusion of migrant labour, of refugees, of asylum seekers, are people who say we've got homeless of our own. But there's no building in the movement that teaches us to understand our own homelessness in the context of the homelessness of others, which goes very much to your point of educating in our own environment.